everyone to another episode of our Searchy Spotlight program. I'm joined today by a community superstar, Calan. Calan, thank you so much for joining us today. How is your day going?
Well, thank you for having me, Paulina. Day is going fantastically, and I'm really excited about this.
I'm super excited too. And for that reason, I'm going to jump right in. So I know all about who you are, but I was wondering if you could share with our community who you are and the markets that you have served in the past and what community you're serving now.
Perfect. Okay. Well, hi, I'm Calan Brecken, and I teach entrepreneurs, influencers, and business owners the profitable action steps on setting up and maintaining memberships, courses, and creating monthly recurring revenue for themselves. My past in history is in personal development. That's where I got all my skills, and I built out a membership, and I have a podcast called Game and Going Deeper, where we talk about personal development, sexuality, and mental health. And so that's where all of that learning and knowledge came from. But I really fell in love with building memberships and creating that content and really structuring all those things out and mapping it all out. So I kind of was the business junkie in the back end of my company with my other two colleagues. And so I fell in love with that. And so I've transitioned into helping people build their memberships and all of that. So that's the history. This is where I am now. And a lot of that happened on and through using Searchy. So I'm really grateful that I get to be here and share my experience today with you.
So immediately right off the bat, something that really drew me to your answer there, Calan, is your history as a content creator. You mentioned that you've created a ton of different type of content, from podcast content, from coaching content to membership content. And I think there's often a misconception in the industry of the silos between the different types of structured programs that people have available. What would you see as a content creator and having businesses of your own? What would you see is, what would you say is the connection between the different ways that we package digital content online? What would you say is the connection between, you know, whether you're delivering content through a podcast, through a coaching program, through a membership? What do they have in common?
You are the individual. You are the person creating the content. You are the one in front of the camera, in front of the mic, in front of the audience, teaching what you love, and sharing that knowledge with the world, because it can be so many different things. But at the end of the day, there is only one you. You are the only person who can do things the way that you do things. You're the only person who can create the way you create. You are the only person who can show up the way that you show up. And that is very important. And regardless if that's on a podcast or on YouTube or on video or in a membership, only you have that unique ability to do it the way that you're going to do it. So that's what I would say.
I love that, just in terms of you are the only you. And I think that's really at the forefront of the uniqueness that a lot of us have to offer as a content creation, even in a market online that may feel oversaturated. So we've talked a little bit about this, but I wanted to hear a little bit more about what stage your business or even your personal brand was at when you first started using Searchy, because you've been with Searchy for quite some time now. And I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about where you were at in terms of how you were exploring the different digital products that you were offering at the time that you started using Searchy.
So when I started using Searchy, it was very early on in the business, and I had created the Game and Going Deeper podcast with two other guys. And so we had the podcast for about a year, and we had a free Facebook group, and it had grown to like a couple thousand members. And we saw the need for deeper coaching. People really wanted to get in on the action and wanted to actually learn actively. And so at that mark, about a year after the podcast, we're like, you know what? I think we should create a membership community. And so I had gone through Stu McLaren's membership program on how to create memberships. And I was like, you know what? I think this is the time to do that. And so I was looking through different platforms to use. And when Searchy was just kind of coming out, it was very, very much an infant at that point. And I kind of looked at it and I went, oh, this is going to be really big. This is going to be really good, especially just the searchability of the videos. Like that blows people's minds. It really alleviates us having to answer a lot of questions as to like, oh, where is this? Or where can I find this? Or I want to learn about this specific thing. They just go to the search bar and they look it up and it pops up all the different videos that we've talked about that topic. And so when we started, we were very fresh, very like young, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed. We were ready to go. And over the past year, we've really learned, and I've specifically, because I'm the one who built the membership, I'm the one who put it all together, really learned a lot about the platform. It's now 2.0. It's absolutely fantastic, keeps getting better and better and better. And as we've grown, Searchy's grown with us, and we've been able to implement all these new things and changes. And it's been a really great adventure and a really great journey.
That's amazing. I love that, dual growth that happens as well, because I really do feel that, on the other side of the business, we do try to grow and adapt as our own users grow and adapt. And I want to circle back to something that you mentioned in your last answer with regards to, you already created a podcast, you had a free Facebook group, and you saw this need that was bubbling up in terms of additional coaching, providing support, continuing to nurture and build that community. That's a big risk to take. It can be a lot to jump in, especially if it's, out of your comfort zone and out of the ordinary for what someone offers, even if they're already serving that market. So were there any fears bubbling up? Was there anything that, felt risky or was there ever a time where you thought, is this the right move? Is this, the right offer? Is this the right structure for this program?
Definitely, there was a lot of fears that came up. So the biggest one was like, will anybody even join? Like, will we build this thing and like nobody will actually join? But we kind of surveyed our community and we said, hey, we're thinking of doing this. Is this something that you would be interested in? And we did get like, not an overwhelming response, but we did get a very good response back saying, yes, like we would very much be interested in that. We kind of threw some price points out there and people let us know kind of what they were willing to pay for what we were going to be offering. So we had an idea of like, okay, people will join, whether it's a large number or a small number, there will be people. And then that kind of alleviated fear number two, which is like, will we be able to cover overhead? Because, you have to pay in order to use platforms and email systems and all these other things. And so by asking our community and going, hey, is this something you want? And then how much would you be willing to pay for it? We could kind of budget out and go, okay, well, this is kind of roughly what we think might show up, how much everything is. And so we will definitely be able to cover overhead. We might not be making a lot personally yet, but once you get the ball rolling, everything continues to keep growing. And then you have a launch, and then you have another launch and another launch. And eventually it does kind of continue to grow and build off of everything. So that's what a lot of the fears were. And then another fear was like, oh, are we charging too little? Or are we charging too much? Because with a membership, it's not about taking people super deep, super quickly. It's about kind of taking a leisurely walk with people, and people can only retain about 10% of the information they learn. Even if they're going hardcore in a course, they're going to have to go back again and again and again. So with a membership, you're kind of reinforcing that 10% learning every single month, where it's like, okay, you're going to get 10% of this, and then eventually you kind of circle back to similar topics, because people only remember so much. And so you're taking them on a slow, enjoyable walk instead of like running down the way with them. But yeah, we found the right kind of spot for us, the right price point, and everything has been really good and growing consistently since then.
That's amazing to hear, just about, the evolution from, an idea sparking from what you're seeing in the market to launching now several cohorts of your membership as well. And I think what you said, Calan, just in terms of, people often retain only up to 10% of the information that they're processing, is key to why it's important to cater to different learning styles, to provide content that's packaged in a way where people can revisit that and relearn those important concepts. So my next question is little tying all of that together, in that Was there anything about Searchy that put some of those fears at ease? So you talked about the challenge of, how do you validate this product? How do you validate that, it has arms and legs? And how do you position it in a way knowing that, people only retain 10% of that content? How has Searchy contributed to, allowing you to take your members on this leisure walk?
So Searchy has played the biggest role because it really allows people to take their own time. And when we put everything together, we made it very clear in our email nurture sequence when we welcome new members into the group is that, one of the biggest focuses is have a journal, because if you have a journal, it really allows you to sit and write things down. Pick a time each week, each month, where you're going to come and learn the lessons that we're teaching. Have a journal, write out the things, because that's going to automatically give you more power to retain a lot of that information. And then once you have that, and once you build that routine into somebody, then they're kind of like a member for life, because they have this system, they have everything built in where they're like, oh, I can see my success, I can see my growth happening. And even if they want to go back and look into those things from the past, they don't have to go hunting for something. They can just click up at the top and go, oh, I want to go back to that video where Calan was teaching about this. And they can type it in, and then within seconds, they'll have all the videos of that topic, and they go, oh, this is the one that I was looking for. So the searchability has been huge with Searchy. That's probably my favorite, biggest main point with Searchy. And then also to add on top of that, my second favorite part is the transcripts, because in order to do that, it has to produce transcripts for every video, every piece of content that you upload. And with those transcripts, what we actually do is we upload all of our podcast videos into our membership for early access. So that's part of the group thing, is you can get early access to the podcasts. We then get to download those transcripts and upload those transcripts on our website, which helps boost our SEO. And a lot of companies, literally, this is all they do, is that they're like, oh, we will put your transcripts together and send them to you, and this is the cost. That's already built into Searchy. So if you're going to build a membership, if you're already going to be on this journey, you kind of get, two birds, one stone kind of a situation, where you get this, and then you get to boost your SEO, and you have all those transcripts, which is really huge, because that makes your discoverability as a company and as a podcast much larger, because everything you've ever said is out there. So the internet can search it and go, oh, these people are talking about this thing over here. So that has been a huge, huge help as well, because that in and of itself has helped our growth of the SEO of our personal website for the podcast.
It's phenomenal to hear you, Calan, talk about the transformation that your podcast has gone through, just in terms of how you continue to find ways to repurpose that, both inside of your membership, being able to use those transcripts to aid to that discoverability on your public website as well. So I think that's something that we see a lot. And again, it goes back to the ability to retain, a maximum of 10% at any given time. What that means is that we're able to circle back to that content, that it is incredibly valuable, and that we do put a lot of thought into to ensure that it can continue serving your members as well. And you said something interesting there, just in terms of growth happening. So what sort of growth have you experienced in moving between having a podcast to creating a membership, and now going forward, what that future looks like for you? Because I know we've talked a little bit about this on this side, but you're also a coach, and you mentioned having a journal and the benefits that that has for our members. So as a coach, where has that growth happened for you?
Ooh, there's been so much growth. First and foremost, the confidence levels, because you're never going to be ready. Like, let me tell you that if you're watching this and you're like, oh, maybe I want to do this, or it's not the right time, all of these fears that exist inside of your head that are telling you that, like, you're not worth it, you're not worthy, you're not good enough, you don't know enough information, you can gather as much information as you want. You could be as perfect, quote unquote, as you need to be, and you still won't launch unless you decide to do it. You're going to mess up. You're going to get things wrong. that is the point of the journey. The journey is about messing up and being messy and learning as you grow. It's not about being perfect, because nobody likes perfect anyways. People like the mess. The mess is relatable. And so if you can come out there and be like, hey, I'm a mess, but I know what I know. Like, I know how to build a membership. I know how to make it beautiful. I know how to put it all together. I know how to map out everything that you need to do in order to make things successful. I know that. I'm not a perfect person. Things still things still go wrong. Things are still messy. But if you know what you know, take that first step, step out, jump off, you'll grow wings on the way down, and you'll figure it out, because you do not learn inside of your comfort zone. You learn outside of your comfort zone. And if you were starting a membership, you're going, I don't know how to do all these things. You can get a coach, like somebody like myself, to be able to help guide you through this, so that maybe you don't make as many mess ups or screw ups along the way. And B, you're going to learn those things as you go, and you won't learn those things if you don't do it. The only way to learn is to go through. And so the only way to alleviate that is to work with somebody to go through it. But there's still lots of resources on Searchy that they provide, that they have a whole catalog, and it's on Searchy, so you can search everything you need. A whole catalog of stuff that's going to help you out. And that in and of itself is going to help you grow and become a better person. And then you're going to be able to turn around and help the people that you're helping do the exact same. At the end of the day, I feel like we're all just kind of grown up kids. We're like, I don't really know what I'm doing. Like, is this really what being an adult is? Like, am I an adult? And we're all kind of like fumbling through it together. And the faster we can realize that everybody's fumbling through it, like nobody really has it together, like nobody knows all of the things, everybody's just experiencing what their journey is on this earth, the more we'll be able to come together and help each other through that journey and go, oh, I made that pitfall over here. Let me teach you how to avoid it. So the growth has just been exponential, especially over the past year.
I really love that, because I feel like we're kind of tapping into the communal growth that happens, where that's really what I think a lot of coaching is, where it's like you learn something deeply enough and you feel compelled to share that with other people as well. And information, even statistically, is the highest currency in the world. It is the most expensive currency in the world. So when we're able to tap into those passions and tap into what we know to be true, I feel like that gives us the force and power that we need to project that good into the world and offer that to our members as well. So do you have any specific?
I want to say one more thing about that, because the part that I missed is the community that you build around this, and the community that you build around a membership. That is the biggest part, where the biggest growth happens, because we can only do so much alone and by ourselves. I used to struggle and suffer from lone wolf syndrome, and I'm like, I can do it alone. I can do all these things. It's so much easier to do it with other people. And when you're with other people, they will help show you, it's not criticize you, they will help show you and highlight the spots that maybe you're missing out on. And being part of a community, like if you have a membership, that is the hugest part of the membership, is the community, because people can come together and learn together and grow together and go, oh, I'm not the only person going through this. I'm not the only person struggling with this. I'm not the only person who wants to learn this. And that is by far the biggest space where things can grow. And you will see people literally do, I've seen people who we've worked with go from like being the most insecure person I've ever met to being like loud and outspoken and being more their authentic self, because they learned through group and they learned through going through things together, being like, oh, I'm not the only person who has all these insecurities. Oh, it's not just me. The more you can look outward and see yourself being reflected inward, the more you build that connection. And I think the world, even though we're going very digital, I think that it can open up that opportunity for us to connect if we do it in the right way. Social media, not exactly the right way to do it, because it's showing outwardly. It's not actually connecting. But memberships and groups like this build those connections together, and it brings people together in order to be like, oh, you, I see you, me too, like same, but different. And so that I just wanted to highlight is such an important part of the growth process, is you have to do it with other people.
I love that. And you said it best, you can only do so much alone. The community is, I think, one of the most powerful tools that as content creators, we get to offer. And we get to be, I think, part of that movement online and in the digital business space where we can bridge those connections, where we can connect people that where we can connect people based on those shared interests. So you've already laid out some amazing, I think, tools and habits for us. So you talked about keeping it messy. You talked about tapping into that authenticity and letting go of the stress of everything being perfect. The fact that, like you can get things wrong, and that's totally fine because you're still learning and growing in the process. So this is our community as well, and we love to share. So we're wondering if you have any other tools or habits that you feel like have really helped you as a coach in terms of serving other customers and serving other businesses as well. You don't have to reveal your secret sauce, but I am loving some of the advice that you're giving all of our content creators. And I think we could all really benefit from getting more Calan energy as well.
Well, thank you for that, Paulina. I'm all about giving away the secret sauce. I don't want to keep any secrets for myself. I want to give it to everybody else because that's the point of me learning it, is to be able to give it away. And I think that the more I give it away for free, and I just tell people, the more that people are like, oh, I want to work with this person because like they know their stuff and they just want to help people. And so that's part of the journey. But I do have a bunch of really great tips to help people. So my first and foremost, one of the biggest things, especially when I'm working with somebody to build a membership and to build out all the things they want to build out, is a lot of creatives and entrepreneurs and people in the arts are a lot about freedom. That's why we're doing what we're doing. We want freedom, for whether that's freedom to support your family, to go on holidays, to be there for your kids as they're growing up, to have more time with your spouse, to go do whatever you want, to help the people you want to help, to donate to the charities you want to donate to volunteer. All of these things revolve around the word freedom. And that's great. I love freedom too. But what a lot of people don't understand is that by building consistency and habits and routine, it can seem suffocating, but really all that does is it allows you to be more free. And it sounds counterintuitive, but I worked with so many clients that are like, oh my goodness, this actually changed my life. Like I thought I was going to have anxiety about this, but it actually frees you up. And the way that I've built that freedom for myself is I use a program called Asana. If you've not heard about it, you can go to my website, calanbrecken.com, and check it out. But Asana is like a tool on the web, and it's a calendar, and you can plot out all of your things, all of your meetings, all of the things you want to get done. And my secret is I only put 2 to 3 kind of big things on each day. And usually it's just one big thing and then a couple other smaller things. And I plot out my month, I plot out my weeks, and I program everything in that actually has to get done. So then that way it can leave my brain and I don't have to go, oh, remember to do this. Oh, remember to do that. I literally write on there times I'm hanging out with friends, like everything, because I don't want to forget that. And I know that that takes up space in my brain. And the more space taken up in my brain about these anxieties and things that I don't want to forget means less freedom in my brain to just relax and enjoy and play. And play is a massive part of entrepreneurship and being a business owner that people glaze over and forget about. And they're like, I'm not a kid anymore. No, 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 no. If you are a creative, you have to have play. You have to have that freedom in your life, because that is what is going to lead you to those ahas, those big ideas that like, I have it, I know what to do. Why do you think so much comes to you when you're in the shower? Because you're turning everything off and you're like just relaxing. And then, oh, ding, I got the idea. Freedom and play is so important, and you need to build that into your life. So I use Asana to map everything out. I don't work on the weekends. I'm very strict about these kinds of things because you need to have that time for yourself to recharge and be ready for the next week. So that's my big number one tip. And then other tips are more in regards to like memberships. So when you're building your content, nobody wants to be overwhelmed. Nobody wants to watch an hour-long video. It's great you want to tell these people this. Break it down into 15 minutes, 15 minutes max. That's like on average, especially in today's TikTok world, people ain't got time. They don't want to have time. They don't want to give the time. So if you can break down your content into 15-minute bite-sized kind of increments, that is the key. And then deliver one of those a week. No more than one thing a week. If you try and deliver more than one thing a week to your membership, people will feel overwhelmed. They'll fall behind. They'll feel like guilty for falling behind, and then they'll leave. You don't want that. You want this to be an easy walk with somebody and be like, oh, hey, here's a cool thing over here. And then they learn that and they're like, oh, that was so easy. And you want to give them these quick wins, these easy wins, because that will maintain their membership. That will maintain them sticking around and hanging out with you for the long run, because you teach them, but you don't overwhelm them. Another one is we use a program called Ad Event. And so this is another event tool, another tool online, but this is for like more of a membership. This is for an outward facing. Asana was like your personal building out all your stuff. Ad Event you can have, and we have it as part of our membership. So we schedule everything out on it so that people know when content is coming out. They know when the Zoom events are. They know if there's any special events coming up, because people like to know where they're going. You need to tell them, hey, this is what's coming up. This is how you can plan ahead. This is where we're going. Sure, there's a lot of people out there who are messy, who don't care, but there are also a lot of people who want to know what's coming up. They like to plan ahead. It gives them safety, gives them security when they can see that. And then that also shows your members that you are a safe, secure place for them to count on, who is consistent. And so Ad Event, a great tool to use and to utilize. And then also pre-record everything. Don't be a mess, but don't be a mess who isn't like they can't count on, they can't depend on. Because if you're in a membership and you're falling behind, you're not posting things, people will not trust that and they will leave the membership. And you can easily avoid that by just pre-recording. You can do it quarterly. You can do it, every 6 months. You could do it yearly if you know what you're going to be teaching through the year. Pre-record as much as you want. Take the time. Don't rush. Patience is a virtue. I would rather you take the time to pre-record all the things you need to do for a month or two and delay your launch so that you are truly ready for that launch of that membership, so that your members get the best experience possible. And pre-record everything, put it out, schedule it out, bada bing, bada boom. Then you just got to show up and push that post button and you are ready to go. So those are kind of all my big tips wrapped up for you.
That was phenomenal. I thought you were going to stop after the Asana thing, and then you just kept going, Calan. And I was like, all right, got to write that down, got to write that down. And I feel like half of those could be posters, like teach, not overwhelm. I think that's something that we fall into that trap as content creators. We feel like if people are paying us for something, that means we really need to make them feel like they're getting their value from that content, when I think actually the reverse is true. And as you're saying, it's not about, having an hour-long video. If you can teach it in 7 minutes, people will be more likely to consume that content, but also make progress from that content as well.
Yes. And when you're trying to deliver more and more and more, I want you to sit back and ask yourself, am I doing this because I'm hustling for my value for my members? Am I hustling because I need to prove that I'm valuable to my members? Because if you truly believe that you were valuable, you wouldn't feel the need to hustle for that value and over deliver all of those things and overwhelm people, because that's where that comes from. That overwhelm, that feeling is like me, like me, like me. Am I good enough? Am I doing enough for you? That is not what people want. People want you grounded in that confidence of like, yeah, I know what to deliver and I know when to deliver it, because I'm not going to overwhelm you, because I'm taking you on this nice leisurely walk. I'm not forcing you. I'm not making you run a sprint. We are going down this together. I got your back. Don't worry.
I love that. It really is about, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. And I think we're able to make more meaningful progress from that as well. So speaking with progress, we talked about this a little bit, but I really want to focus in on what have you learned about yourself in the process of managing, starting, scaling, pivoting, and tweaking online businesses. There's been a tremendous amount of growth that's happened, I think, for you professionally, just as you really get freedom from having that consistency and building all of those habits. But what has that meant for you as well? And what does that freedom look like for you?
So it all started with building my own membership. And like I said, you have to go through it in order to learn. And I'm glad that I went through it and I learned it because of what it taught me. And I actually talked about this I was on the Amy Porterfield Online Marketing Made Easy podcast. And we talked about this is that it's when you get to a place where you figure out, oh, I kind of want to do something different, it's okay to switch. It's okay to evolve. It's okay to grow. And the only way you're going to do that is if you go through the messy parts at the beginning. So I'm very glad that I built the membership that I built, the podcast, everything that I'm doing with my business partners. But through that journey, I learned that what really lights me up is the building. It is the back end. It is the tech. It is the mapping out of like, how is ConvertKit going to talk to Searchy, going to talk to Stripe, going to do this, connect with Zapier, all of these techie things that tend to overwhelm a lot of people. I freaking love it. And so I learned that and I went, oh, maybe I'm not doing the right thing for me. And the moment I made that switch and that pivot, I still do all the things over in the other membership. And I love personal development. I love coaching. It is a lifelong journey. But what really lights me up is this other stuff. And so the moment I made that pivot, everything started to change. Like all the things started taking off and I started doing more interviews and these things over here. And I was like, okay, this is the universe giving me a sign that this is the road that I should be going down. And all of the other stuff that I did was teaching me the skills and lessons I needed to learn in order to get to where I am today. Because I couldn't do what I do today had I not gone through that. I couldn't teach and help people build their searching memberships if I hadn't done it myself, because I'm a firm believer that you need to start at the bottom and grow from there, because it's like a CEO at a company. If you're going to be that CEO, I'm a believer that you should work at the bottom of the barrel and do that for at least a week or two, then move up and do what they do and go through every single position so that you know what every single position is dealing with and working through and what are their downfalls and what are their strong points and all of it in between. And that will make you a much more knowledgeable leader. And if that's what your goal is, you need to step up in order to be that leader. And so being able to go through all of this, that's how I found where I am now. And I can't talk about numbers and growth and things that happened in my other company just because I do share that. We have had consistent growth and it's been great. But what I'm really focusing on now is helping other people grow their companies. So I'm, probably looking to build like 7 to 10 memberships over the next year and really focusing and working with people that I love, that are lit up, that really are excited to do what they're doing and help them grow, because that's how I'm going to be able to amplify my voice. Is I've realized it's not about amplifying me, it's about amplifying other people through the skills that I have, because I don't love being out front. I don't love, like, I have a love-hate relationship with social media. I think a lot of people do. And I don't want to post consistently and do all this and look at my life, it's fabulous. I don't care about that. I want to be able to show up and support other people who want to do all of these things for themselves. And that for me gives me the most joy. And so that's where I see kind of the trajectory for myself and the growth happening. And so far, so good.
I think definitely so far so good. And I want to go back to what you were saying, Calan, in terms of finding what lights you up. And it's so amazing to hear through your evolution, your ability to find what has lit you up, what has lit you up. It seems almost like it's slangy, but I guess what has lit you up. So my question for you is, how has Searchy fit into that? You talked a lot about how your insights from growing your podcast and your membership have allowed you to find your passion for helping other people grow their membership. Where does Searchy fit into that?
So Searchy has been obviously a huge role in that, but it fits in because I prefer to build a membership on Searchy just because it offers so much more than many of the other tools out there. And there's tons of other tools out there, but Searchy comes from a place of Stu McLaren did this. He went through all of these things. So because he went through all of these things and built them all himself, he knows what a membership owner, leader needs and wants. And you can see that in the tools that they release and all the things that come out, because I go, oh my goodness, he gets it because he's been there. And that's what I was saying before is I want somebody who is an owner CEO who's done all the positions because they know all the pitfalls, they know all of the things in the background. And so it plays a huge role because I point my clients in the direction of using Searchy just because it's such a fantastic tool and it integrates with so many things so easily and beautifully. And you keep releasing new tools in order to work on and work with. And being able to create a reoccurring revenue for somebody, it just allows them to breathe a little bit more freely. And that's really what a membership is. It's you providing all this amazing content, and that's great. But you can't help people unless you help yourself. I used to be a flight attendant. That is my background way back in the day. You need to put the mask on first before you help somebody else put the mask on. Because if you pass out, you're going to be useless to everybody else. And that's what I think about when somebody's building a membership and building their own business. There can be a lot of guilt and almost like this weird shame around asking for money. And people do not like talking about it. It makes people very uncomfortable. And sometimes it makes people, like, if people talk about money, they get grossed out and they're like, oh, I don't want to talk about this. That's a conversation you need to have with yourself, because money is not the issue. Money is just an energy of an exchange saying, hey, I really value what you're doing and how you're helping me. This is how I'm thanking you, because that's the world that we live in. It's just a fact of life. You got to have to get over that hump. And by building a membership, that allows those people out in the world who say, I value you, I want this information from you, to give you that money. In return, you create stability for yourself and your family and all the people that you love in your life. Then you get to go around and do more of the amazing